and welcome to VOD of Consciousness with Sientir. I am Sientir. I'm waving hello. You can support me on my Patreon, patreon.com/Sientir. I was just now noticing how similar Healing Breeze and Light of Deliverance look. Like, those are really similar skill icons. The Ankh with the glowy blue around them and stuff. Anyway, that's getting distracted. I do want to give a quick overview with what I'm doing with my party. So I have some additional Healy prayer type healing stuff that doesn't rely on divine favor to be any good. Specifically Light of Deliverance for party heals, Healing Breeze for additional targeted heals, and then just some stuff for like the normal things I do. I got tired of running the spear. We'll get to that in a moment. I did make an adjustment to Talcora. I replaced Vigorous Spirit with Cure Hex. That seemed like a good change. Master of Whispers is no longer doing empathic removal. Instead, he's doing Discord, which is very strong. Otherwise, he's fairly similar. He does have Putrid Bile in his bar now as well to help facilitate Discord. It requires them to have a condition and then be under the effects of a Hex or an enchantment. So we want to make sure I have plenty of hexes. On that note, I've replaced Essence Strike with Lamentation, which is kind of a variant on Suffering for Ritualists. It's very, very similar. Area of Effect Hex. Does some additional damage. This is, of course, a Hex. So I'm running Zenmai, and part of the reason why I'm doing that is because I want Shattering Assault. Specifically, this is useful because it removes enchantments very reliably. And her entire combo here is unblockable when she's under the effects of enchantment, such as critical defenses, which will make her more bulky by giving her a lot of blocking capability. This is some energy management and helps make sure that stays up. I also have given her some deadly arts, specifically Impale, which allows her to follow up a dual strike, so one of these two, with a big pile of earth damage and a deep wound, which will help kill enemies more quickly. And then I also gave her Iron Palm, which is a knockdown and can function as a lead attack potentially as well. I mean, it does function as that, but you know, however that much important that is. And then, actually, just looking at these, I should probably do that. Because I don't need that to deal as much damage, and having her daggers a little bit harder is probably good. Anyway, and then I have Margaret. Margaret serves a couple of important purposes. One, she's bringing the Dazed. Two, she's bringing Apply Poison, which will allow us to spread a poison around the enemies. This is going to be useful for a couple of reasons. One, Discord really wants that. Two, Spear of Fury really wants conditions on enemies. Three, this will work as a cover condition to help make the Dazed harder for the enemies to remove. Then I have Natural Stride on her. Distracting Shot's just very good. I decided to go ahead and give her Troll Unguent to give her some additional support and defensive capabilities. Signet of Return for Resurrects. You'll notice I gave her a Resurrect, and he has a Resurrect. And I gave myself a Resurrect as well, Signet of Return for myself. Just that way we have some more Resurrects. And I also decided to give her Hexbreaker Uria, just as a way to help manage hexes against most of the party. Most of these characters have, like, that's a spell, technically. Hopefully won't be getting cast a ton, but spells, 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 and spells. So that's going to help, potentially, with managing hexes. We'll see. But it seemed like it could be useful. So anyway, that's what's going on with my party. Hopefully this configuration works a bit better than what's going on previously. Noticeably, I have Holy Spear because of how many things I've been noticing that deserve to be speared in terms of enemies summoning minions and spirits and stuff. And then I have Dodge This as kind of a pseudo attack that gains me energy because it is a shout. And then, of course, Go for the Eyes and then the other things. So we're here because we need to talk to Initiate Tsuriai. And she says, "Are you the new blood? Well, I suppose you'll do. Just stay out of my way and don't get yourself killed. Especially don't get yourself turned. I have no love for the afflicted, and the last thing I want is more of them crawling around. We're out here to clean up Xingzhe Island, not make it worse. We're starting with Haiju Lagoon. As you may know, the waters of the lagoon possess an innate healing quality. That is, they did. The presence of the afflicted over the years has gradually corrupted the water. It's our job to cleanse the taint that they left behind. I can perform the necessary ritual, but I will need protection. If we can take care of this, the Ministry will have a better foothold to remove the rest of the infected ones. Can I count on you? Let's take care of this. So, we need to cleanse Haiju Lagoon. As you might notice, that would require us to go through Jaya Bluffs. So, here's the thing. We can go through here and around to there, and probably over there. Or we can come from here and go around to there. They look pretty equivalent to me. So, I'm going to just go through this area here. For what it's worth, unless they buffed the enemies for this quest in this zone, it's not going to be too hard to get through. Jaya Bluffs, apparently, is what it is. Jaya Ballard. Ask Mage. Magic references. So, yeah, hopefully this team build works a bit better. If nothing else, we have more reses and some additional healing. I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm hoping it works well. I'm curious to see how it performs. That's for sure. I will say that all of this making enchantment builds for my heroes really makes me want to bust out my own assassin builds for heroes. Really makes me want to bust out my own assassin. I discovered, by the way, that you can walk up here. It's not something that I knew about until I watched a speedrun of Factions. Yes, there's a speedrun of Factions, and saw that they did that. So, I thought it was kind of interesting. It's neither here nor there. There's a lot of Angsali Tengu around here, by the way, since the Sensali tribe. So. Hey, they have some stolen supplies, because that's what they do. I can do that. Heal everybody for 57 HP. We need to go into the Kanai Caverns over there. It's funny seeing mending going around. Mending is a skill that's more popular than good. These things are like not even dealing damage. It's kind of silly. Golden Vox Strike is just very, very good. It's interesting how there's some skills like that. Wow, I'm not even sure that her arrow, Margaret's arrow, got a chance to hit the enemy there before they were gone. I don't really care that much about fighting these Yetis. There's not meaningful. I mean, I'm going to fight them because I want to make sure that like we don't end up somehow with a bit of death penalty going on. Healing Breeze is an interesting skill. I should mention it. It is not worth 10 energy. It's probably worth about 7, maybe 8. There's a lot of skills in this game that I feel that are 10 energy that are not 5 energy. They're worth more than that, but they also shouldn't be worth 10 energy. But anyway, it's you can see it lasts for 15 seconds and it gives a bunch of health regen. Like, that amount of health regen is quite strong. It's I'm giving 8 health regen, right? And like you can see what that looks like on my bar. That is 16 health per second that's being recovered or restored by that. And that's quite useful. However, at 10 energy, and it only has a 5-second recharge, which is pretty low. But at 10 energy, it is they're expecting us to go from over there. Miscalculations. But at that and energy cost, 10 energy, it's way too much for a monk. Like, a monk does not want to bring a 10 energy skill with them if they can help it. So if I had known that, I don't know, by doing research or something, that they were going to put the quest there, obviously I'd have left them there. But at this point, it's kind of irrelevant which way I go. A lot of scavengers up here. Yeah, but they're like level 8. So they are completely non-threatening. Their pets are more threatening than they are. on the other hand, what is going on with these builds? Like, they're non-threatening, but these are not standard fair enemies. They're dual classing and stuff like that. Dual classing is something that is a really important part of this game that most of the core enemies just don't do. So, yeah, it's when you see that, it usually means that they are not standard core enemies. It's really what it comes down to. So, also, I don't remember this many dudes running pets, so there's that too. Hey, it's a mill. It's a windmill. Mill powered by wind as opposed to a water mill, which is a mill powered by water. Go figure. Okay, so let's head to the lagoon. It's to the north of here, and let's not waste time. Got it? Got it. There is, during the... That's a really nice circle. Or a mouse circle. During the faction story, there's actually a defense mission that takes place here, if I remember correctly. One of the things, actually, that you might have noticed in the quest dialogue is that the Afflicted have apparently been here for years. The idea is that this takes place after the events of Nightfall, if I'm not mistaken, where it has been, like, a couple years that the Afflicted have been around. So, just something to note that there's a reason why they say that. I do find it interesting. Prophecy's had some amount of, like, NPC village areas existing outside of outposts. That was a weird lag spike. Happens sometimes on this game. But factions really pumped it up a lot, especially Kaineng City, where I think it got toned down a little bit. Initiate Surai says, just look at what those nightmares have done. If I were given the chance, I would strike all of them from this world. No hesitation. But anyway. While standing, you lose 25 health every time you use a skill, so it's corrupted. Normally, that would be the opposite effect. She says, I'll handle the ritual to cleanse these waters. I need to be within the lagoon for it to work. Unfortunately, it's certain to draw out the afflicted, so be prepared. If you let them interrupt me, so help you. Even if you survive them, you'll have to face me afterward. Hyjin Dawn, hear my plea. These words I give, an offering to appease. Anyway, as I was saying, here comes some of these enemies we need to face. Let's just go ahead and get these set up. Factions really introduces a lot. Ooh, that's a nice waterfall. Let's cease the seething. A vengeance left to bleed. Well, I mean, I will certainly take the meteor shower over there. I want to make sure Master of Whispers is not having problems. But anyway, so the lagoon the lagoon. Sorry, we're lagoons on the brain. To slide from shadow and release from sorrow, to hear the call of a brighter morrow. I have gotten so completely and totally distracted, I don't remember what I was talking about. We need to focus on these enemies. Oh, okay, well, we just party wiped. In my defense, wow, that is a lot of guys. So I'm going to go ahead and summon the Legionnaire to help. So yeah, anyway, as I was saying, factions really introduced a lot of these sort of areas. Oh, is this... Well, after I just spent a skill point summoning the Legionnaire. Great, thanks. That is exactly what I wanted. I mean, I need to go back to the outpost and try again, because there's no two sides for it. But it's annoying. I'm kind of curious to see just how many dudes are over there, actually. Actually... Speaking of which, I need a screenshot. Let's go ahead and get one. Cool. But yeah, so Nightfall I think tones down just how many of them there are somewhat, but it wow, this is ridiculous. How do they like look at how many things there are. That is a lot is what I'm saying. Like I want to see how effectively we can even just deal with what's here. Well, yeah, and you can see like this is okay. I'm thinking through like knowing that I have this sort of thing ahead of me, what do I actually need to deal with this? Right? Cuz this is going to be a lot of enemies. Um Okay, so I like the idea of what I was trying to do with Zenmai. I'm going to kick her though. So just thinking through a little bit of what I need. I'm actually going to bring Zandra. Now, she's running kind of a minion bomber build at the moment, but I'm going to put her in communing. Instead of that. These are probably good enough to keep using. Moon of Creation's probably good enough. I want Flesh of My Flesh. Now, the reason why I want... do I want what else? I don't know. But... Shadow Song... let's just use... actually, no. Let's drop the Boon. Armor of Unfeeling... Union... and... Disenchantment. Now, one of the things that you might notice right now is she does not have an elite skill on her bar. The question is, what elite skill would I bring, right? This is one of the things that's always a little weird, is sometimes it doesn't make sense to bring an elite skill. Because I'm kind of bringing what I want. And like I could bring something like Reclaim Essence, for example. But realistically, the only slot that I have that I could put an elite in is actually I like this. I'm gonna just drop the restoration altogether. Well, not altogether. I'll put a few points in it just to make that a little bit better. But why I want Gaze of Fury on her? I believe that's... Is that not communing? Is that actually... in channeling? Sorry, This is one of the things that you run into with this game is build craft time. It is... Okay. So then you... Okay, the Gaze. Let's drop Splinter Weapon for Gaze of Fury. And then, Let's see. Is there a useful... One's a bit goofy. Metal weapon is not great. And none of those are amazing. Not enough spec there to be worthwhile. I want Gaze of Fury by the by because what it does is destroys enemy spirits, and I want to be able to get rid of the spirits that the enemies have. Oh, fun. I'm gonna put this on her because there's a lot of summon stuff. Will she use that well? Oh, I wonder. I put on something like displacement or... Yeah, that's strong, but doesn't last very long for good reasons because it is... Let's just add Anguish. So I'm bringing a lot of spirits to get a lot of additional damage out of her. Do I... Okay, let's just not faff about with that. Or that, for that matter. Okay. So this is an interesting question. I actually kind of want to give her... Barbed Trap and Flame Trap. I don't know how advisable this is, but the idea interests me. Because we're in kind of a defensive posture that we're holding with this, it actually seems like it might be quite useful. Now, as for me, I think that I should probably run a different build. Let's see. Actually, well, I don't have Gaze of Fury. I'm just trying to think through. Yeah, I don't have anything useful there. I mean, I could just go motivation. I want to do that. So, yeah, a lot of time right now is just going to be taken up with me figuring out what I'm doing on this character and not being entirely sure. 'Cause I don't mind trying to go a little bit more defensive on the monk end, but there's something more useful that I could be doing. I think I'm going to go into Mesmer, actually. And the reason is that allows me to use Panic. And not Chaos Storm. That's not worth it. But Panic and Cry of Frustration, I think, are worth using. So, well, do I want to try... Yeah, I mean, Cry of Frustration is just good. I could go with Empathy, but... that will help. And, like, once we start getting minions up, that'll be strong. Should I just be running... No, that's so many rituals. I probably should... Let's see. So I kind of want to just run Ritual Lord on her because I think that would actually probably be stronger than Consume Soul. But on the other hand, it's probably unnecessary, and Consume Soul get some really useful additional damage across. So I don't know. I'm going to try this. I'm going to see how it goes. It could go very, very poorly. But maybe it won't. And that would be nice. Let's what I've decided. If it doesn't go poorly, that would be nice. I don't know. I don't have strong expectations one way or the other. I want my team to be able to complete this mission. I am going to go ahead and summon the Legionnaire now. Burn through my skill points. I don't know. I'm due to get another one soon. Man, this character's almost at 1.5k or 1.5 million experience. That's a lot of experience points for what it's worth, but certainly there are many players who have many more and other characters. And I'm sure I have other characters that have many more as well, actually. My dervish that I was using as a main for a very long time probably has way more. Okay, so let's try to be a little bit more successful. Obviously, what makes this difficult is we cannot wipe. It's not a matter of I would prefer not to, it's cannot. Which is obviously a bit challenging, but here we are. Yep, travel the lagoon with the initiate. I'm going to move this over a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, you can support me on Patreon, whatever. I don't know if this is going to go smoothly or not. I'm expecting not. I do that while I'm here. Not doing a whole lot, I guess. I'm probably going to not read out the dialogue that shows up down here. I'm probably going to be fairly focused on trying to make sure that we do not fail the mission again. And unfortunately, we have to stand around this lagoon that causes us damage. But it works. So, yeah. Let's get some of these spirits up. Particularly, I want to get up some of the ones that last a bit longer. Those in particular are fine. Hygiene Dawn is actually a turtle spirit, if I remember correctly. Okay. For my part, I want to make sure that this monk is not able to do too terribly much terrible things to our party. I'm no longer going to be able to do any healing stuff, but well, I mean, aside from the innate healing that we get from the one thing. But my hope is that these guys are too spread out for panic to be really useful right now. So I'm just kind of taking some observations. Slide from shadow to sorrow. Color brighter tomorrow. That's all nice. Well and good. Oh, I accidentally interrupted that. Cool. What is... Okay. Yeah, failed to smite the hex. Do we need more healing? I feel like we need more healing. Yeah, we are wiping again. Why are we wiping? Necromancers are causing problems, clearly. Quest updated. She died. We have to reset. Okay. So, what did we learn from this? That's a really good question. What did we learn from this? We need more healing than this. So my efforts to be disruptive were not useful. Alcora got overwhelmed. I don't know if these were any good. Okay. Back to the drawing board. Question is, should I continue drawing out this episode as I go back to the drawing board? Okay, so I'm going to kick Margaret. I'm going to change myself back to monk. And I'm going to put my points into protection prayers. I need to figure out what I want from that. But I'm going to go ahead and instead of bring a mesmer. Daedalon, sure, probably. Yeah, but I'm not going to bring that build on it. The other thing that I'm unsure of is how much this is actually doing useful stuff. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to switch him to /rit. And get some more restoration magic going on. So I'm specifically just going to drop those. I don't need a lot, but I want more of one thing, and this is an interesting question because I have a couple of options here. So, okay, I'm going to think through exactly what I want in him, but right now I want that and Spirit Light, because those are very strong. Then I think... For energy reasons, actually, I'm going to put Ore of the Lich on over here and just leave these two otherwise. Well, that's a bit more healing. He's like all about the healing. He's got some strong healing options. Without Discord, Lamentation becomes unnecessary to make it feel like things are going to work for the build. And I would rather give him the Energy Management Essence Strike. I think I'm okay with what Zondra's trying to do. I legitimately don't know if it's any good or not. Maybe I'll tweak her more later. And then this is overall okay, but rather than... do I want diversion? Diversion is very strong, but also kind of specifically so. I kind of want to bring Psychic Instability. E-Surge is really good for damage. Bring E-Surge. We need to kill enemies. Then otherwise we got some good interrupts, and Diversion will really help with some things. That Sickness reasonable, I guess. Do I want the... Yeah, Natural Sickness good, just because it gives him something to do that's useful that doesn't require all of the energies. And I don't know if this is going to be an improvement or not. I need to figure out what I'm doing. I'm probably running Aegis and Life Sheath? No, Life Sheath is kind of redundant. I think maybe Shield of Regeneration, actually. And instead of the Deldrimmer Javelin, too, I'm going to go ahead. That is hitting you instead of I. I'm going to switch to the Spirit of the Forgotten. Actually, put Deldrimmer Javelin there. And the Zealous Mersat thing there. And yeah, okay. Days 1 doesn't do anything when I'm not running Gaze. Okay, and Shield of Regen is super strong at keeping the person I hit it with alive, and Aegis will help. Question is, should I be running more defensive stuff? Or, well, that's just so much energy. Yeah, I'm going to try this. I don't know. We'll see. Like, that's the best I can say. I'm not going to be summoning the Legionnaire. It's just not quite worth it. I don't know how long this actually takes when you're successful. I should hit up this merchant. Sell these first two anyway. The other one is a salvage item, so I'd rather keep it for salvaging, but I think having some additional healing is useful, so hopefully this is good. I don't know. Part of the reason why I also went with Aura of the Lich is this exploits all corpses in the area, which, needless to say, is useful for getting a bunch of minions at once. It's kind of the mass AoE reanimate spell. I don't know about these other builds, but like theoretically they should be cluttering things up and getting damage in, but they're gonna also be weak to like meteor showers and stuff. I don't know about E-Surge, or if I'd rather have like psychic instability for mass knockdown on interrupt and stuff, but theoretically this should be providing a good chunk of damage, 72 damage at those stat points pretty regularly. And will just help us take down enemies. It's a combination of interrupt and defense and offense with a lot of those things, but I don't know if, for example, other options would be something like Visions of Regret, for example. Whenever they use a skill, they take damage. On their Mesmer Hex, they take more damage. I don't think Enchanter's Conundrum is super helpful here. Apply that phone damage. That's probably okay for damage as well. But E-Surge is cheaper, which is nice. Hexator Vortex is okay. That's an interesting interrupt. This could be fun. And I'm kind of inclined to try that just because that would be really good against the monks. She has Glimmer, Patient Spirit. Okay. The land has no need of heroes, only people with a will to be exceptional. Get Union up ahead of time. Just to give more of a chance to have it. I guess you could say. Patient Spirit, interesting. It's good to know that she has that though, because you don't want to bring Patient Spirit when she's using it. So this monk is kind of our primary target, you could say. Obviously I don't want to attack when I've got that going on. Now, part of what we have is we've got more afflicted coming on over here, and I want to make sure that we're taking care of them too. So this Necromancer is a bit of a priority target. Master of Whispers, why? Master of Whispers, why? Okay, so what is defeating our party right now? Shadow Song should be helping with this. It is not. Huh. Well, I don't know, guys. This is a really odd one. It's got a lot of dudes. coming at us. I mean, we died before she did, but the quest is still just failed. So we still need to go back to our outpost and try again. And I legitimately am not sure how to approach this at this point. What are the things that are giving us problems? Why are we failing? And like, as I think about it, okay, what would help? And I think I want an elementalist. And so I'm thinking through, like, okay, what's going on with our party? And the problem is damage mitigation issues, right? And so, well, is Master of Whispers actually helping that much? Probably. But what about Parias? Well, maybe I don't need Parias. Maybe I can stick with what Zandra's doing with spirits. I don't know if this is all being as helpful as I'd like. I think Union doesn't work well with minions anyway. So let's try maybe this. And what I'm going to do, just by the by, is instead of this, I'm going to go ahead and go into channeling magic and bring these, right? So I will go ahead and bring these. Actually, if I'm going over here, oh, do I not? Oh well, I should go get that, but really, I don't. Huh? There's one that I've been using on a different character that's very, very good. For some reason, I don't seem to have on this one. I don't seem to have time for Signet of Return, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that in favor of Painful Bond because I want the additional damage from it. And then I want... Is it Serenia? Serenia's water magic. No. That guy. I want... Yes. Okay. Now I'm going to... put Earth Prayers on as well. Point and healing for the res. Sure, why not? Air attunement's going to be the primary thing I want. Okay, let me kind of work through what I want here because I want ward against melee and ward against elements. I should just definitely be running Glyph of Lesser Energy. And then what, Arc Lightning and Chain Lightning? That kind of what I want here. Let's see. Arc Lightning. Where is... There. So here's what my thinking is. This right here blinds foes. That foe and all adjacent foes are blinded for 7 seconds. It has 25% armor penetration. If it strikes an attacking foe, all adjacent foes are also struck. And the spell deals 50% more damage. So, this is basically the purpose here is let's spread blind around to try to mitigate some of the damage. Ward against melee. Is that just kind of redundant? Do I want ward against foes instead, or maybe? I kind of like the idea of ward against foes, actually. Just to make it so that way our guys can kite better. Yeah, let's try that. Actually... Actually, this is a perfect time for Iron Mist. Maybe I don't need Chain Lightning when that's going on. Maybe Arc Lightning is good enough, and I can run something else that's fine instead. Let's see. That's maybe. I'm just looking through what my options are because I'm not entirely certain. See. Let's see. Target foe and all adjacent foes take physical damage. Burning foes struck by it take an additional 75. That's really strong if you're running burning around, obviously. But, I mean, let's run shock arrow instead for some energy management. But this makes my those things better, and then this will help against elemental damage, of course. And then diversion is really strong against a single target, but I would rather do like that. I think. And do I want E-Surge or do I want Psychic Instability? Let's try our Psychic Instability. Actually, no. Let's do becomes the elite of target foe. Excuse me. So my idea here is that'll allow him to be able to steal Ray of Judgments and other useful things. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll be useful. I'm trying stuff. Oh, I still have Master of Whispers. That's fine. Probably shouldn't bring Union with Master of Whispers, but whatever. Do I want to go take Union off? Yeah, I think it's bad enough that I do want to go ahead and take Union off. The reason why is Union reduces damage that non-spirit allies in range take, which means the minions, which means that the minions are just like really made ineffectual. So yeah, I'd rather not mess with it. Let's see. Huh. You know what? Let's just do that. Signet of Binding. There we go. That'll do the same business that I was wanting to do with the other thing. I mean, taking 50 damage is not great, but, you know, that's potentially quite useful. So, I don't know. Like, I'm hoping that this works, but I don't know if it will. And, am I still using Spirit of the Forgotten? I should not. I should be using my Deldrimmer Javelin now. Well, here comes take whatever this is. I don't know. I'm making a really long episode. Don't ask me why. And just enjoy the pretty trees. They are very pretty. And, let's hope that it works this time, I guess. Really about all I can really say. This initiate, unfortunately, tends to die because my party tends to die, and then she follows suit. You know what we need? We need the support of a miniature siege devourer. These things are so big, even when they're miniature, they're almost the size of a regular devourer. Yeah. Interestingly, I'm just now noticing this path texture is basically identical to the one used in Pre-Stirring Ascalon, so that's rather interesting. I mean, no reason not to reuse textures if you've got them around, right? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Trying to find something to talk about. Lots of time figuring out builds. This is one of the things, though, that can happen with the game. And it's something that I think is really interesting, is finding builds, trying to figure out ways of overcoming stuff by saying, okay, why isn't this working? What can I be doing differently? Like, one of the things I was observing, backline is getting destroyed by enemy physical attackers. Well, let's bring an Aeromancer designed to try to deal with that. So Oh boy, this water dealing damage is not great. Talcor is learning all the time. Somebody's wanting to... Was it Vec wanting to domesticate the Char? That's interesting. The good news is we should be getting a skill point, probably, fairly soon here. Okay, these guys are admittedly taking longer to get here than I was expecting. That's okay. Wee numbers! Wow, that was fun. I'm going to admit I really enjoyed seeing a gigantic pile of numbers just spontaneously erupt out of that enemy. Okay, Master of Whispers dying is not great for our cause. Ow. Okay. Why are we, like, getting wrecked like this? What went wrong? What went wrong is there's so many afflicted. Okay, so... Let's see, it didn't help when Master of Whispers died, and then all of his minions turned, and that just gave us more enemies we had to fight. Huh. Is this just being useless? Are they using their skills properly? What are we dying to? You know? It's questions like that where I'm like, something is going wrong here. I'm not entirely sure what. I want to know. It's like that, for example, wrecks them. But then... Ow. What happens is they explode and our spirits all die. And now our entire team has died to casters. Okay. Huh. Right. So what I'm observing here is my instinct is let's use things like Sickness of Spirits, right, to make a bunch of dudes. And what's happening is that works for a brief period of time, and then all of those dudes are killed. So right now, I'm just going through here and just trying to observe, okay, how are skills playing out? What's happening? Is it being useful, or is it not? And what I'm observing is that things aren't going the way that I'd like them to, and there's some reasons why. And so the question then becomes, okay, what can I do about that? So, for example, I saw that my Signet of Spirits was really, really good for a moment, and then the melee attackers got in range of it, and then they died very quickly, but their death caused the spirits caused the soul explosion that made all of the spirits go kaput. Right? And like you can see, they are designed to destroy this type of build. I'm walking straight into something about their design and about the skills that their backline is using, where it's very effective against what my party is trying to do. So what that means is I need to approach this differently. I'm fundamentally... No, not that. I'm fundamentally approaching this the wrong way. So how can I approach this differently where I'm not trying to use minions, I'm not trying to use spirits? What then becomes useful? So I'm still going to bring Master of Whispers. I'm going to go ahead and include... Is it Elias? I don't want Elias. I want Livia. And I still want Daedalon, but let's bring Norgu. Okay. I mean, there's a group of dudes. So the reason why I'm bringing these guys... all right, let's kind of go through. Master of Whispers. Yes, but not these. And what I want from him is... I want Discord, because this is very good single target damage. I want Rising Bile. I want Rotting Flesh to apply additional pressure. And I want Well of Suffering, because I can't do anything about wells. And then... it's actually... I don't need Mirror of Disenchantment. Signet of Lost Souls might be okay. This is fine. This is fine. Spiteful Spirit is good, but I don't want single target stuff. So what I'm thinking here is... Well of Silence. Well of Blood. Lingering. And where is Suffering? Right, so this is going to be... actually... Huh. With Well of Darkness instead of Well of Blood. And just put this back into Soul Reaping. Well, my thought process here is Well of Darkness causes enemies that are hexed to miss, and this is a lot of hexes going on. So what I want myself to be doing is I'm just going to whatever on that, and I'm going to go into motivation. And try to do stuff there that's helpful. Now, I don't know if they use that at all properly. I'm going to just put on Psychic Instability. And Norgu is doing this sort of thing. Hexier Signet seems fine. There's enough of those. But this is a bunch of illusion magic stuff to disrupt the enemy, and that's exactly what I want. So on my end, I need to... Area of Restoration. Area of Zeal is probably good for me to bring. Energizing Chorus, I definitely want. Ballad of Restoration. And Song of Restoration. And then I don't really need this spear, if I'm being blunt about it. Let's see. Check for additional damage. That's not really what we're needing to do. This is probably pretty good. And I don't know. I mean, this is not as expensive as it looks for what it's worth. Just because the stuff kind of lowers the cost. Let's say barbed spear. That's a way of inflicting a condition around all over the place. Okay, and let's try this. I'm basically the secondary healer to support Talcora, and there's some from Master of Whispers as well. Then he's applying pressure and damage, pressure and defense. We don't actually need weakened armor, so let me put on something more useful than that here. What would be good? I know. Shadow of Fear. This makes enemies attack more slowly. Obviously. And then it has a bit of counter synergy with empathy, but empathy is just really good. So, actually, maybe I should run Shatter Enchantment instead. The reason why is because this is a bit redundant with empathy. Yeah, okay. So here's what I'm doing. I am approaching this from a different standpoint, a different angle, and I'm going to see if approaching this from a different angle helps. You know, it could very well be the sort of change, sort of difference that's necessary to do this. Now, obviously, I'm making an extremely long episode here, and I recognize that fact. Hopefully that doesn't bother you. But I'm really curious about, okay, how do I actually approach this mission in a way that's successful? What are the things that are causing this to not work? What things can I potentially do instead to make it work? And this is going to be our last attempt for this episode. If it fails, then oh well. I'm just going to have to go back to the drawing board, but that drawing board is going to be tomorrow. If it succeeds, hooray, and we'll have completed a mission that is, or a quest that is clearly proven to be extremely difficult. It's always tight when you're working with 6-man parties, and it's always a bit difficult to know what you need to bring on those anyway, but my goal is for my builds to give us enough healing that we're bulkier, and I mean, Talcora is going to help with that. Livia's oddly going to help with some of that. Norgu's definitely going to help with that. Ineptitude is very strong against all of these physical attackers. And just taking a different approach and kind of more of a hex pressure defensive approach may work where the traditional things don't, because they're bringing stuff designed to take them down. Like you saw how quickly my Signet of Spirits just evaporated, right? They're going to take a little bit longer to die if they're being summoned by a ritualist with spawning power to give them more health, but even then, they're just not going to last. And likewise, the minions were dying or being taken over and all sorts of stuff. So if they're designing builds that are designed to be good against the builds that are traditionally strong, then that means that we need to bring different types of builds. So I was leaning more heavily into this is traditionally strong, but perhaps that's not what we needed. And that's kind of what I'm banking on, is that the sort of builds that are traditionally strong are weak against the sort of builds being brought here. So perhaps if I bring a different strategy, it will in fact prove to be strong. We'll see. I'm hoping that's the case. I could be wrong. But, you know, it's hard to go wrong with a bunch of mesmers and necromancers, right? So, yeah. Anyway. These are not things that you precast. And now all we have to do is wait and see if this works. Eventually. You died, Talcor. You did that wrong. Try not to do that. I wonder if Spirit Bond would be better than Protective Spirit in this situation. Spirit Bond heals if you take large amounts of damage, whereas Protective Spirit reduces the damage you take considerably. So you'll notice this is a different configuration of enemies than we sometimes have. Yeah, these guys are absolutely dying. We in general want to try to stay in the wells. Okay, Temple Strike is going on. That's very, very deadly. That's part of what's giving us difficulty. Visions of regret. Okay, so this is not working. That's fundamentally what I've learned, is that this is not working. Why is this not working? What can I be doing differently? That's what I need to figure out. I don't yet know. Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't yet know. Well, I'm going to take a few more stabs down at that group just to see what happens. But clearly this didn't work. I was hoping it might, but it didn't. And now I know. And that means it'll be time to experiment with something different. And that experimentation is going to take place next time. I'm going to take a few more stabs at it just to see, like, what's going on and why stuff might not be working and that sort of thing. I mean, this group's here, so let's ambush them. Okay, and you can see we're taking... So part of what's happening is we're getting a lot of hexes on us. So what that tells me is I need to invest more of my party's efforts in hex control. So we took out those 3, but they were giving us more trouble than they should have. How do I want to approach this? Do I want Hex Eater Vortex maybe on Daedalon instead? And maybe Shatter Hex too? That's possible. There's also a lot of elemental damage. That's definitely happening. Valcora's getting a pile of degen on her. Okay, so there's some issues that I'm seeing right away. For some reason, Talcora did not Healing Burst herself. It is target ally, so she can target herself with it. Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, I definitely have some stuff that I need to do. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. And we're just going to stand here in this field, looking at this lovely scene back here. And we're going to go ahead and call that episode to a close. So, unfortunately, we weren't able to figure it out, but hopefully next time we will. Until then, take care, everyone. Goodbye.